From Studio 3 at Buzz TV, it's The Horse's Mouth with Tom McManus.
All right, welcome into Up Close and Personal here on The Horse's Mouth on Buzz TV, of course, right here at Tommy Max at my bar. Coach Dave Campo, my return guest. We're talking ball and we're talking Jags, two of my favorite things to talk about. So let's get into it. Coach, how are you, my man?
I'm good.
Welcome back.
Oh, thank you.
I always like having you at the bar, man.
Well, listen, it's fun coming over here. You've got great guests at your shows, and it's fantastic.
It's a fun time, and it gets
is,
to meet a lot of cool people that are right here in Jayville.
And a lot of different subjects.
Absolutely.
I mean, it's fantastic.
No doubt. All right, well, this subject this time around, let's talk about our Jaguars, because you're out there just as much as anybody else, watching practice, watching camp. You're on 1010XL with the midday crew, and do a great job with them.
Thank you.
Jags are up in Detroit. Talk about teams practicing against other teams, the importance of that, how much you get out of that. What do you think's happening with the Jags up in Detroit?
Well, I think it's fantastic. When I was with the Cowboys, we did it all the time with the Raiders. Al Davis and Jerry were close friends, and so they would come over every year, and then we'd play them in the preseason.
Right.
It's great because it's the first time, after banging, you played.
Yep.
When you're banging against your own guys all the time, not only does that get boring.
You get used to it.
You get used to it, but you also know the little ins and outs of what's happening.
Right.
So
what to expect.
When you play against another guy from another team,
sure,
you are now reacting like you do in a regular ball game.
Yep.
And so, you really get to see the pluses and the minuses of a guy, and that's where I think it's good. And it also builds a little bit of team chemistry.
Yep.
Because it's really, you're on the road, you're together, or you're home and you're together, and you're playing against somebody different, which brings out a little bit more energy and enthusiasm.
No doubt. So the schedule gets released. You see who you're playing in the preseason. You call the other head coach. Does it matter on the team? Does it really matter, or you're just looking for that kind of work regardless of who you're going against?
It doesn't matter who the team is. It's just, if you're going to play that team that week, you go on the road or whatever, and the team that, if it's like Detroit, for example, they see the Jags, they know the Jags have some good players. It just works out that way.
I think, look, whether he planned it or not, it's brilliant by Doug Peterson, because remember before the run, who gave him the shellacking up there in the Motor City? Detroit kicked the living crap out of them. And I remember Doug, which credit to him, he was like, nah, it's just one game. It's an anomaly. It's not going to happen again. I was like, man, after having that great win against Baltimore, you go out to Detroit, it was like 40-14.
Yeah,
they got
a big score.
Killed. But I think it's brilliant because now, hey, they're in the preseason. Hey, let's go back up. Let's go against them, because you got to think the message is, hey, these guys kicked our butt last year.
Right,
let's show them what we're made of, even in the practice setting, correct?
Yeah, and the great thing about Doug Peterson is that that's one of the reasons that he's been successful, because, he's kind of tunnel visioned on, I'm not changing. I'm not going this way when we win and this way when we lose.
Sure.
Everything is
even
okay,
keel.
the next game, the next game. And I think that builds that poise and confidence with your football team, and it does put a little bit of chip on your shoulder going up there, which is good.
You better. And it sounds like they answered the bell.
Absolutely.
Right? They started yesterday. Today's Thursday. They had a big practice yesterday. All reports said our Jags fared very well against them. I haven't seen the reports today, but looking forward to that. That's simple. That's good confidence builder for your team, right? Let me ask you this: if your starters are getting the majority of the work during the week practicing, I'm assuming they're not going to play that much in the game, or do you want to see them a little bit more in the second game after we only saw the first team offense for, 2 or 3 series? What do you think?
Well, I tell you what, there's a little difference between what I think and what I would do, okay? I'm not sure.
What would you do, Coach?
I'm not sure what I think is going to happen.
Okay.
You know what I mean?
No, I do.
But I look at it very similar. They had one day of full pads yesterday. They're in shells today.
Right.
So it's really no different from that standpoint, other than you're going against first, which they don't do a lot in their normal practices.
Right.
Okay.
Right.
So to me, in a 4 preseason setup like we used to have, first game you don't play them.
Right.
The second game you play what they did this past week.
Right.
The third game you play them.
Right.
Okay, and then the fourth game you don't play the starters at all.
Right.
I look at it that way. I think that even though they had maybe a tough practice, one, I would play the guys, and maybe not we used to play them a half into the third quarter.
That's right.
Okay?
Get them used to coming out of the
locker room after halftime,
right.
Gearing it back up and rolling.
Yep.
To me, I think that they should play some because
I do
they're probably not going to play at all in the last one because with 3 preseason games, you have to see your young players.
You got to see who's back.
The backup guys to fill out your roster. And I think the Jags have a pretty good group of those guys this year. It's going to be important.
Absolutely. What backup stood out to you last week?
Well,
go ahead, because I got a couple myself, just from watching them on the game.
Well, first of all, from a defensive standpoint, Gregory Jr., I think, has solidified himself as a second nickel.
I agree.
Now, whether or not he competes and it's going to be a battle. Herndon has a lot more experience, and so we'll see what happens there. The other guy on defense that kind of jumped out to me was Antonio Johnson, the safety.
Yeah, I like him a lot.
And I think, he's a big guy. The knock on him was that he was not a great one-on-one cover guy against speed guys. He runs a lot better than I thought he did.
Yeah, he does.
So they've got him as a gunner. They've got him doing some stuff that the guy's got to be able to run to be a gunner.
No doubt.
And he's physical, and he looks like he belongs there. So from a defensive standpoint, those two guys. The third guy would probably be Abdullah, the pass rusher.
How'd you like that nice little dip? That's why that natural dip, right?
Absolutely.
That's the number one thing you got to have as a pass rusher. You got to have speed, you got to have all that. But you got to be able to dip that inside shoulder where they can't get you. And came so natural.
And you see the same thing I do. You play the game. You've watched guys do it for a lot of years.
Same.
So I think that he's a guy that does some things a little bit by the book. Too much, which is a rookie.
Right.
Okay. I really think he's got a chance to be a pretty good pass rusher, but he has to do everything perfectly because of his size. If the tackle gets his hands on him, he's done.
He's in trouble.
Okay. So that's the defensive guys that kind of stuck out. Offensively, they've got a bunch of receivers, in my opinion. They're going to have a tough cut.
Who would you pick out of? And it's hard. I hate putting you on the spot. Harris, the Elijah Cooks kid, who's huge. I like Williams, number 81. There's a couple other who stands out to you?
Well, I like them all.
I know,
which is unfortunate.
I know.
You know what I mean?
No, I know.
But and I haven't watched the special teams guys as much, but it's going to come down. If you take the 5 receivers that are probably going to include Washington as the 5th guy because he's a draft pick and really shows some good things. He's a returner. He's good on special teams. For sure. So the 6th receiver, which is probably what they're going to keep on the active, is going to come from all of those guys. And every one of those guys are tall, rangy, fast receivers, and they've all made plays.
They run good routes too.
So I like them all.
Me too.
Williams has probably made more catches,
tough catches,
than all of them.
Contested catches. I agree.
And so I'm kind of looking at him. But they're going to have a tough cut on that one for sure.
As Williams reminds me of Willie Jackson. Remember Willie Jackson was on our team?
Absolutely.
Just a really solid number 3 that's going to make the tough catches.
Big guy.
Yeah, big guy, great hands.
Here's the other thing that makes that's a problem is Tim Jones.
Agreed.
From experience and what he does on special teams. They're going to have to show, those other guys are going to have to show a lot.
You're right.
Between now and the end of the, before the cut down date in order to unseat him.
Go make a tackle on kickoff for punt and then you're in.
Exactly. Because they offer something. You want receivers that have different skill sets. And all those tall receivers, Tim Jones is kind of like all the other guys.
I agree.
The tall guys give you something a little bit different.
I agree.
And then the last one I'll just mention, there are other guys.
Of course.
Okay. Cooper Hodges. Offensive lineman.
I agree.
Listen, they say he did a great job up there as well at Detroit.
I heard that.
But when you watch that guy, he's physical. He will plant the guy on the ground.
He will.
he looked great pulling on the outside plays. He's athletic.
Right
you see him running down the sideline with the long one?
Yes.
So, I think he's a guy that has a little mean streak to him. We'll see what happens.
That's right. Coach, great to have you on the show.
Got it.
Always fun.
Always
You're going to see more of Coach Campo here on the Horses Back Talk Ball all day with Coach Campo. We'll try to do more and more of that, covering our Jags and the NFL throughout the 2023 football season. Until next time, stay safe out there and be cool. And we'll see you right here on the Horse's Mouth. Cheers. Hey, Tom McManus here with Carpet Man Flooring. Wow, warehouses the size of football fields filled with rolls of carpet and LVP. That's luxury vinyl planking.
LVP.
Carpet Man's LVP.
Carpet Man.
Carpet Man's
LVP.
The luxury beneath your feet.
Our prices, they can't be beat.
LVP.
Carpet Man's LVP.
Carpet Man Flooring, your hometown flooring store.